This is a lab for 6.3.3.7. Okay, this is another type of Inter-VLAN configuration. Okay, using 802.1q trunk, or sometimes we call it a sub-interface configuration, or sometimes we call it a router on a stick configuration. As you can see, as compared to the per interface or legacy inter-VLAN routing, okay, for today this lab we only have one interface, okay, that is connected from the router to the switch, rather than as many interface that is required for the different VLAN that is connected for the per interface or legacy method. Okay, so let's start by configuring the computer, okay, PCA and PCB with the IP addresses and the subnet mask and the default gateway. Okay, you can see that we are still having two different VLAN today, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Okay, so without the extra configuration, the router, VLAN 10 PCA will not be able to ping VLAN 20 PCB. Okay, desktop, IP config. Okay, PCA, PCB. Okay, so next we're going to start configuring the switches, okay, with the requirement given as seen on the left hand side, the parameters. Switch, CLI, enable mode, global configuration mode config key, no IP domain, lookup to disable the DNS lookup, encrypt all password by doing a surpass, service password encryption, encrypted private adjective password class, enable club secret class, okay, banner to configure a warning message before the login, configure the console and V12 password, Cisco, login, VTY 015, password Cisco, login. Okay, host name, as can be see at the top left, S1. Okay, and last but not least, configure IP addresses. So we need to configure IP addresses on the SVI or the switch virtual interface VLAN 1. 192.1.11, 5.2.5.0. Okay, no shut to activate or enable the interface. IP default gateway 192.168.1. Okay, next, okay, for step number 9, we need to create the VLAN on S1 and S2. So we need to create two VLAN, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 with the respective name, students and faculty. VLAN 10, name, student. VLAN 20, name, faculty. Okay, double check that you have actually created the VLAN correctly. Being a show VLAN brief. Okay, so you can see that there's a 10 and 20 with students and faculty, and at the same time all the ports are currently in the default VLAN 1. Okay, so we need to actually assign some ports to be on VLAN 10 or VLAN 20 as per the requirement. So according to step 10, I'm supposed to assign port 6 to VLAN 10 on S1. Okay, 12, port 1 is supposed to be trunk. Okay, and port 5 is also supposed to be a trunk. Okay, which is connected to router to enable more than one VLAN to transit to the router. Interface IP06, port 6. SWMOAC switch port mode access SWAC VLAN 10 to assign it to port 10. Okay, you can verify doing a show VLAN brief. Okay, and you can see that port 6 is currently in VLAN 10. Okay, interface FA01 SWMOTR to assign it as a trunk. Okay, as required. And port 5 also needs to be a trunk. SWMOTR switch mode access trunk. How to verify trunk? By doing a do show interface trunk. Okay, so we can currently see that our port 1 is in trunk mode. Okay, the reason why port 5 is not in trunk yet because we haven't configured the router and activated the interface for the trunk to be up and running. So we will actually verify it later. Okay, so after configuring S1, let's proceed on to configure S2. Okay, by doing the requirement again, enable config key, no IP in lookup, serve pass, enable secret class, banner MOTD, okay, line console and VTY password, password Cisco, VTY 015. Okay, configure the host name for S2. Okay, and to configure the interface VLAN 1 IP addresses and the gateway. No shut to enable or activate the interface. Okay, and last but not least, configure the default gateway 192.168.1 for remote access. Okay, so create the two VLAN. VLAN 10. Okay, students. VLAN 20. Name. Faculty. Okay, 10 is for S1, so we're going to proceed on to step 11, which is to configure port 18 to be on VLAN 20, because we can see that PCB is connected to port 18. MOAC SWAC VLAN 20. Okay, assign port 18 to be on 20. Verify by doing a show VLAN brief. So you can see that I've created two VLAN, VLAN 10 and 20, with the name students and faculty, and port 18 I have reassigned it to be on VLAN 20. Okay, VLAN 20. Okay, so next step, okay, will be to configure the trunk. So S2 I only need port 1 to be on trunk. Port 1 SWMOTR. To show interface trunk to verify that port 1 is on trunk mode. Okay, and that's what you need to actually do. Okay, for the switches. Okay, you can actually verify your configuration for S1 and S2 by going to the packet tracer activity screen, check result, assessment item. Okay, so PCA and PCB are configured correctly. Okay, S1 I've configured everything. Okay, but I haven't do any saving of the configuration. That's why the start config is crossed out. Similar for S2. Okay, so let's go back to the S1 and S2 and do a copy, run, start to save our configuration. Similarly for S2, do copy, run, start. Okay, so we can actually verify the configuration again by doing check result. Okay, you can see that all the configurations for S1 and all the configuration for S2 are completed. Okay, so on the router we need to do all the basic configuration again. Okay, but you can see that, okay, for today there's a slight difference for sub interface or 802.1q or router on a stick. Okay, instead of a pure interface, you have a dot something number. Okay, these are called the sub interface number. Okay, sub interface number. So let's open up our R1 CLI. Okay, R1 CLI. Okay, the T. Okay, no IP domain gap pass for encrypt or password, enter secret class MOTD okay, line console and v12 password in line bty 04 for router, password Cisco. Okay, and configure the host name R1. Okay, so now we're going to configure all the interface that we can see part beside R1. We're going to create the first interface, LO, which is stand for loopback. Okay, LO0, loopback interface. Okay, IP address 209.165.200.225. Okay, and the prefix we're going to use, okay, that is being given in the lab, okay, is actually 255.255.255.224, okay, which is a prefix of /27. Okay, 27. Okay, this is a prefix of 27. Okay, enter. No shut. Okay, you can actually verify there's a /27 by hovering over the router. Okay, and can see, okay, that, okay, the address, okay, having a prefix of /27. Okay, next, okay, we're going to configure the sub interface, okay, for G0/1, which is .1, .10, and .20. So whenever you're working with any sub interface, okay, which have a dot number, okay, you must always enable the main interface first. So we're going to going to the main interface G0/1 and do a no shut first. Okay, so always remember that before you start to configure the individual address for all the sub interface like .1, .10 or .20, go and do a no shut on the main interface G0/1. Okay, then we can start to configure the sub interface such as interface G0/1.1, which is given here. Enter. Okay, so this is very important for you to remember. For sub interface configuration, okay, this is a sequential command. You must always do the encapsulation.1q command before you can do the IP add command. Okay, so encap.1q, okay, what follows the .1q is actually the VLAN number. So G0/1.1 basically is cater for VLAN 1. Okay, but just take note that the sub interface number can be different from the VLAN number. Okay, but in the industry normally we'll try to make it same so that it's easier for troubleshooting. Okay, followed by IP address for the G0/1.1. Okay, always a good habit to double confirm by activating the interface. Okay, so currently you have one sub interface that is configured. Let's configure the second interface G0/1.10. Okay, I'm going to show you that if I haven't do the encap command, if I try to do the IP address command first, what is the outcome? Okay, you can see that when I do IP add 192.168.10.1 for G0/1.10 before I do the encapsulation.1q command, okay, you can see that there will be an error message that tells you that, okay, you must do some further configuration before you can do that. Okay, so always remember that encapsulation 1Q command with the VLAN number must be done, okay, before you can do the IP address. You can see that after I do my encat command, when I key in the IP address, okay, there is no more error message, okay, followed by no shut. Okay, so similarly for 20, encat 20 followed by the IP address 20.1. Okay, so this is what you have done for all the interface. Okay, you can verify by doing a show run. Okay, verify doing a show run, and you can see all the interface that has been configured. So you can see that I've configured G0/1.1, okay, with .1Q1. .1Q10 is for 192.168.10. .1Q20 is for, okay, 192.168.20.1. So this is for VLAN 1, this is for VLAN 10, this is for VLAN 20. And we also have our loopback interface that has been configured. Okay, so last but not least is just basically to do a copy, run, start, complete all the configuration. Okay, so in order to test whether your Inter-VLAN routing is working, okay, basically you just need to go to PCA or PCB to ping each other. Okay, and if your Inter-VLAN routing has been configured successfully, you will be getting reply from each other. Okay, so on PCA, I'm pinging 192.168.20.3, which is PCB. Okay, so you can see I'm getting a reply. Okay, means that PCA in VLAN 10 can now ping PCB in VLAN 20, okay, through the router sub interface. Let's double confirm by going to PCB, ping. Yeah, you can see that I have successfully configured sub interface or router on a stick or 0.1Q configuration.